Welcome to the AltCast, Episode 1. I'm your host, Bill Cassidy. Today I interview Ned Scott, CEO and co-founder of Steem, a social media platform where anyone can get rewards for publishing their own content on the website. Welcome, Ned Scott. How you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well, Bill. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. If you could, just go ahead and give us a quick introduction on your Bitcoin background. Maybe tell us a little bit about how you found it and how you got involved.
Sure, yeah. I think it was 2013. I had kind of just gotten out of school where I'd studied psychology and economics. And, I was like looking for things to get into. I was looking at jobs and things like that. And I found an article on Yahoo News, and it was all about Bitcoin. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. But what is it really? What am I really looking at here? So I said to my dad, Dad, what do you think of this? Like, what is this digital money here? He goes, Ned, son, I don't pay attention to the fads. And I'm like, oh, okay. Whatever. I ended up really tuning in after that though. And it just felt right to me. And, it just evolved from there where I really enjoyed delving into the rabbit holes and learning about the technology. And it was later that year that I came across Dan Larimer, who I partnered with for this Steem project. And, he was working on building up to the BitShares project at the time, which is the idea of decentralized exchange. And, I felt that was one of the more innovative, concepts of blockchain technology. The idea that you have all these exchanges like Mt. Gox and Cryptsy, they're all getting hacked and failing and people are losing money. Dan was coming forward and saying, if we build these businesses onto a blockchain, we won't have those same hacking issues. So I thought that was cool, and it evolved in a lot of things. I ended up following Ethereum very closely and investing in that project as well, and really liked all the 2.0 stuff. And it just kept, growing for me. It was an addiction. It was like my girlfriend, I couldn't, and yeah,
It snowballs for sure.
It's snowball. In 2015, I basically said, all right, I'm going to start bringing some of these opportunities and some of this technology to places in New York where I was. And, I was going to different consultants and different investment firms saying, hey, we should do something with this. And it just evolved. And then I got together with Dan in January of this year, and he was looking at doing mutual aid and insurance on the blockchain. The idea that, how can we empower people to be able to help each other across the blockchain? When they have problems, when they have questions, when they have issues, when they have problems that require insurance, how can we help them with that? And we realized, we need a forum where people can post their stories and talk about their problems. And, we incorporated, a lot of ideas and elements, from other projects, other open source projects, and from Dan's background. And, we came across Steem. It was the idea at the end of the day. And it's the idea that you have this decentralized forum, kind of like a Reddit, where people can post just about anything.
Yeah.
And, we also came up with this idea that people can get paid to post and paid to vote, because we realized, you need these incentives for people to, accurately, measure the value of a post and things like that. So we started insurance, and we ended up at social media, all built on the blockchain.
Where did the name come from? Where did you guys come up with the name Steem or Steem It?
I think the first working title we had was Web Clout. The idea that you have influence or, some such thing online. And it was a tough namespace because it was competing with a few things, including another company called Clout. And, so we really just kind of took the opportunity. We said, okay, there's a number of us here. Let's take the aggregate of our personalities and just figure out something new. Let's come up with, a new name, a new concept. And so we were looking at, the words, kind of like esteem and other types of words. And we just broke esteem down. And so we had Steem, and then we were thinking of steam power and steam engines, steam trains. And we did more and more research. We realized that steam back in the 16th century with two E's meant to value something. And because it sounded like trains and power, we were like, okay, that's cool. And we realized that, in old time, English, steam trains had a lot of influence on idioms, such as, this conversation is picking up steam, or this conversation is getting off track. So we really liked the concept of steam as far as describing people's conversations, which is what the platform is all about, really.
Yeah, I like that. That's awesome. So you said it's kind of like Reddit, and also very similar to Medium. If you could define Steem in just a few words, what would it be?
Right. It's the people's publishing platform. It's a shared and publicly owned online community. And, it's really hard to encapsulate in a few words.
Yeah.
And I think that, starting out, the ideas of Reddit and Medium really help us because people are so familiar with those concepts. But underneath the hood, there's a platform here that is so public and so available for technologists and entrepreneurs and statisticians that, it's really a new concept of social media that is empowering and public, and it's got a lot of technological potential.
Yeah.
There's a number of innovations Dan has brought to the table, including bandwidth rate limiting, which means this is one of the first blockchains, or at least the first that we know of, that has no transaction fees and supports this kind of business model. And, with the idea of not having transaction fees, there's a lot we can do. And everyone's heard the buzzword side chains and sidechain plugins and subchains. There's huge potential for us there. But because we have such a sort of clear, first model, which is this Reddit Medium hybrid, we're realizing that we're going to end up with this decentralized app store for marketplace applications and for statistics applications and all these, game applications that empower the user and are sort of adjunct to, this central, community hub, which is Steemit. So kind of like Facebook has its app store, Steemit will end up with an app store that is totally blockchain driven and is, bringing new business models to the table. So nice. I know that was not 2 or 3 words.
Yeah.
It's just a huge challenge for me at this point.
So you guys are actually looking into expanding and not just focus on this social media aspect of Steemit.
Yeah. And it's a challenge, because Steemit is such a clear thing. It's let's continue to improve the user experience, which is priority number one. But at the same time, we recognize how much potential there is for this platform, that we can't, we can't ignore it. But so we have this challenge where we're straddling, taking care of this business model that we've built, and then, opening things up for other people to help bring this whole platform forward. Because the whole thing, we've seen it with Ethereum, when you can create a platform that empowers developers, suddenly you develop a mass of people that are helping build, this new community product. So we want to get to that point too, where we can empower people to help build this with us. And we've already seen that a little bit. We've seen entrepreneurs come and build different statistics apps and cross-posting apps from Reddit and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a key factor in success for a small startup or a new company like this is bringing in those outside developers who can help contribute and help the platform grow. When did you guys open the beta?
Yeah, so this was kind of an idea that we were kicking around and refining in January. And with Dan's expertise and the developers that we have, who are very talented, we were able to take this platform from an idea in January to a mainnet blockchain in March. And so the back end was running. I don't know if we'd call that a beta just yet, but the platform kind of itself went up in the beginning of May. I think it was May 4th that we put the beta sticker on there and kind of opened it up.
Cool.
And then from May through July, there was sort of this sort of waiting period, this sort of one long day before the system really went live with its payouts. And so people were kind of showing up and they're wondering, is this really going to work? Well, the people who came and really committed themselves and blogged a lot ended up, really striking, rewards, and that was really cool to see. And once that first payout happened on July 4th, we've started to see other people, recognize, okay, this platform's really working. It's legitimate.
Yeah, they got it. They got excited.
They got excited. They saw other people, saying, "Hey, I really made money on this thing," and our growth has just exploded since July 4th because I think just because confidence stuff.
Yeah. Is it proof of work? Is there miners?
Yeah. There's miners. There's miners. Absolutely.
Okay.
So the way it works is you have this consensus model. It's a hybrid proof of work and delegated proof of stake. Proof of work to make sure the network is secure and irreversible, and delegated proof of stake, which also helps with those things, but adds a certain predictability to block production that makes it easier to get consensus if there needs to be any sort of fork. It's easier to get community input and so absolutely, in terms of mining and proof of work, there's an opportunity there. You can turn on a miner, you can get in the queue, you can mine Steem.
And that's how new Steem is created.
That's how a portion of new Steem is created. So it's that process of seigniorage that we first saw in Bitcoin, where Bitcoin's creating new tokens at a certain rate, during different intervals. Every 4 years it changes, but we just saw the halvening, which is cool. But it's the same idea. You have this blockchain creating new tokens, but the way Steem works is it's creating new tokens for different types of people. That's what gives it its edge. So it creates new tokens for miners. It creates new tokens for holders. So anyone who's holding the token Steem Power, which is just Steem that's been committed to the network long term, they're getting rewarded too. And then there's a rewards fund, which Steem is also creating new tokens for the posters and voters. So every day there's a set and specific amount of Steem created that has to be sent to the posters and voters. And because of that, you have this constant flow of value, bringing in new people to provide good information to the community.
And the best information will reach the top. Basically.
Exactly. So anyone can bring information, but the better it's perceived by the community, the more reward, the greater piece of the pie it can take home at the end of the day.
Cool. So currently I looked on, this is just an estimate, there's 78 million Steem at the moment created. How many are created per year? And is there halvenings for you guys also, or?
Yeah, actually there are sort of halvenings. So there's really kind of like a reverse share split every 4 years to maintain, scalability of the integers and things like that. The way it works is the supply is actually doubled every year, but it's sustainable in the sense that it's going into the buckets of long-term holders. So if you hold long-term, it's really not doubling every year. You're really keeping up with inflation 100%.
So when I first found Steemit, it was actually kind of crazy because someone posted like a link to a Steemit article, and I got there and I read the article, and then I was like, oh, well, what is this? And before I even realized that you guys were like a cryptocurrency or a blockchain or anything like that, I just thought you guys were just another social media platform.
Yeah.
I was using it, I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. I like to check out all the new social media platforms just because I like to get a unique username. We all like those, and so that was one of the reasons I initially signed up. But I'll tell you right now,
for account name squatting.
Yeah, not really squatting, but just making sure that I got the one that I wanted.
Yeah.
But really, I started using it, and I found myself visiting every day without even thinking like, oh, I need to visit Steemit. It was kind of just a natural thing, I just click Steemit and be on there and start looking for articles, and it was cool. And the reason I brought that up, man, is because I want you guys to know that I almost felt like back in the day when I first found MySpace,
That's cool.
I got the excitement back, and I do feel like you guys have a niche here, but I'm wondering, is there any competitors, like direct competitors to Steemit?
Direct competitors. So there's certainly people with, an eye for the problems. People are looking at social media and saying, how can we give this back to the people how can we make the data public and get it out from, the closed doors of Facebook and Reddit and Twitter. And there's certainly a few in the blockchain space, namely Scenario and Backfeed, Akasha, and a number of others. Some really good ones. I'm forgetting at the moment, but it's a big problem. The idea that data is owned by these private companies.
Yeah.
With what we're bringing to the table, the data is made public, and censorship is no longer possible. We're building a platform to empower people, in all ways. And I think a lot of people see that problem, and we just happen to have the domain expertise and the technological expertise to be able to really refine the ideas and innovate to a point where we knew we could launch successfully.
It's crazy because like I'll come across some of these ideas, like what was that one, Scenario or whatever, and I'll start reading about it, and then I'm looking for somewhere to like sign up so I can do my username squatting. There's nowhere to sign up. That's why I think I was so like sucked into Steem it at first. It's just because it was just already there. It was working, and I could just do it. I didn't have to read a big long white paper about how it works. All I had to do was click a few buttons and actually use it.
Right. I mean, that's the proposition. We have a platform here that's it's user friendly enough. People see something they're familiar with, and they can start contributing right off the bat. And
yeah,
that's the important thing.
Big time. We talked a little bit about how people earn Steem on Steem it, and so they can upvote posts and they can create posts, and then we talked about Steem Power, Steem, and then Steem Dollars. Could you just give us a brief overview of the difference between those three?
Yeah, absolutely. Steem and Steem Power are pretty much the same thing. It's just that if you have Steem, you have to sort of commit it to the network. There's a process called powering up, and you can see it in the wallet in steemit.com. You hit power up, and now you have Steem Power. It's really the same variety of token, but it gives you influence and it gives you access. And the more of this Steem Power you have, the more you can influence, where a post goes on the platform. So if you upvote something, it moves higher if you have more Steem Power. So that's something you can use to promote your own post. It's something you can use to reward other people. It's a real token of access and influence. Steem is sort of more speculative because Steem Power is kind of locked up in the way that equity in a startup might be locked up through a vesting contract. And the advantage to Steem is you can take it to the market, you can trade it, you can speculate, and all that. It just doesn't give you influence over the posts and votes.
Right.
Steem Dollars are part of the part of the system that sort of stabilizes things and makes payouts work really well. So when you get paid for a successful post, you're getting paid a portion of Steem Power and a portion of Steem Dollars. It's a 50-50 split for the author. And, what that does is it gives the author, something that they can use again on the platform, which is Steem Power. They get to continue to have more influence on the platform, but they're also getting Steem Dollars, which they can easily convert today through Bitcoin and then into their bank account if they want to have, their own country's currency. Or they can hold Steem Dollars, and eventually we'll have a very vibrant economy where they can spend them directly on the site.
Nice. Yeah. So that's what you're saying. There's going to be like an app store and a marketplace, right? So people can just make purchases on the actual website.
Right. So Steem Dollars will be an integral part of that, and if you want to come participate in the economy, you're probably better off having Steem Dollars, which you can get very easily on the site by posting and participating.
Cool. So when you do power up, what I got from that is it basically makes your user more of a power user. You become more powerful. But you also said that we can get that Steem back, right?
Yeah, you can power it down as well. So it's a little bit of a longer process. You've committed it to the network, but if you hit power down, then it changes from the Steem Power bucket into the Steem bucket over an average of 1 year. And then once it's powered down, and it does that in weekly equal distributions, you can take it to the market, you can sell it. You can take it to the Steem Dollars market and get Steem Dollars, which have a stable value, often currently with a 10% interest rate. So there's some value there, but yeah, you can absolutely power down and power up, and you can move back and forth between Steem Power and Steem.
Cool. So you guys added like a follow button, and I read somewhere that you guys are adding like private messages. I'm wondering like what similarities you have to other social media platforms and what you guys might be adding.
Right. So there's, we're in a terrific position because so many social media sites have come out to date, and, we've seen which ones have done well. We've seen which features, have driven, platforms to success. So because of that, we're able to look at platforms like Twitter and Reddit and Medium and say, these features would work really well here. So, there's still quite an element of Twitter that we, really need to install here. And that's in regards to the follows and to help people build brands and build, their follower base and things like that. There's still some ways to go there. As far as private messaging, it could be similar as well. You'd have end-to-end encrypted peer-to-peer messaging because it's all blockchain based. So that's another feature we definitely want to get to. There's quite a few things on the roadmap. Notifications, we end up with, you can invite your friends and, all sorts of things, a whole host of things.
I'm wondering, how do you prevent me from creating like 10 accounts and just sitting there and upvoting all my own stuff?
No, you totally can. It's just that everything is stake weighted voting. So you can, if you get 10 votes, you could essentially see $1 of value in that, or you could get 10 votes and you could see a penny of value in that. It all depends on how much Steem power those accounts have.
Right.
So to really game the system, well, that's the thing. We've designed it so that it's very difficult to game. You have to invest in the system in order to, have more influence over it. And once you've done that, then it's in your best interest to be, a positive contributor.
Yeah, you're not going to turn around and like try to bring the system down.
Right. If you put money into it, right.
So tell me a little bit about the team, because I noticed you guys have Dan and then you. Is there anybody else contributing to the core code, or?
Yeah, so there's 7 of us full time at the moment. We're a little unbalanced because Dan and the 5 other guys are programmers and developers, and then there's me on the I'm biz dev, ops, finance, everything else other than programming.
Interviews.
And interviews. And the good thing is we have an incredible community of early adopters like yourself, and we've got this little Slack channel where there's now hundreds of people, I think over 500 people in there, and a lot of them are putting their time and effort to help grow this project, and they're putting out their links and they're referring new people. And so from a marketing standpoint, we're really being balanced out, where all these people are coming forward to help, and it's really, we're really in a terrific position having the wonderful community that we have.
So you mentioned that you guys, after the July 4th payout, that you're kind of getting an influx of users. Is there any like special statistics you can scoop for us in the interview today?
Oh yeah. And there's a public site that a guy put up, based on the blockchain. It's called steeml.com. That's STEEMLE.com. And it's this terrific little stats site that shows, user signups. It shows votes per day. It shows posts per day. I'm going to pull it up right now and reel off a couple numbers. But a week ago, for instance, we were doing about 10,000 transactions a day. And recently we've been doing between 44 and 63,000 transactions per day.
Damn.
So, that's a big spike for us.
Yeah.
Transfers per day are up. Accounts creations per day are up from about an average of 80 per day to now we're hitting almost 500 per day.
So like all the data that's created, like if I create a post on Steemit and post it, is that actually stored on the blockchain?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely stored on the blockchain. All the text is stored. The pictures, The videos are not, but in time we will have a complete and full IPFS integration to make sure that all the content is immutable in the sense that you always know what's there, and if anything gets taken down from an IPFS node, it can be looked at on another node and things like that.
Cool. What if you guys, like, tomorrow Wired or something writes an article about Steem It, and then all of a sudden you guys get like 3 million people signing up? Is it going to affect the website? Is it going to, I mean, how are you going to be able to scale is what I'm wondering.
Oh, great. Yeah. So one of, Dan's major accomplishments with BitShares, his first project, was that he really figured out scalability to the point where he was testing into the thousands of transactions per second sustained. And, that's the sort of thing that a social media platform requires to scale. And so we have very, similar and even improved networking architecture there. And with the delegated proof of stake and proof of work model we have, the witnesses and the block producers can all scale up at the same time. We're certainly taking measures to make sure that our system is refined and capable of doing that. But, we've done immense amounts of testing to make sure that when that spike comes, we can handle it.
Awesome. So we spoke a little bit about the roadmap and what your guys' plans are, but can you give us more of a timeline of when we can expect some of that marketplace and app store to come about?
Yeah. I don't want to give, too many exact details, but I think that, especially because we're still working out, a lot of it, but I think that users can expect to see steady improvements to the user interface. And as far as marketplace plugins and sidechain plugins, we will come out with a couple things in the next couple months. And hopefully, with the goal of getting things to the point where developers can understand the potential for this so that, they can begin to work on these cool things alongside us.
Cool.
So more information about the concepts and the potential to come out in the next couple of months.
Awesome. So I just have one piece of feedback for the website. I'm not like a developer or anything. I do a little web design and stuff, but I'm not like a developer. I always get frustrated with the videos because on my phone, they're not responsive. And I don't know if that's an easy fix or what, but the videos aren't responsive. That's the only issue I have with Steem It. And
oh man,
yeah, if that's my only issue, I think you guys are on the right track here. So
that's good. No, so I'm going to take that. Thank you. But I'm going to take that. I'll put that in the the dev channel, and we'll definitely look at that. But thank you. It's really cool. That we've gotten to this point. We're happy, but we're never totally satisfied. That's just kind of our thing. So we're always working to improve.
Rad. So if there's anything you want to close with, man, pretty much just going to start wrapping it up here. If you have any closing comments or anything.
Sure. Yeah. I to all the users out there, we'd love to see you on Steem It. It's really fun. We're getting a lot of people, and we'd love to have more.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on the podcast, Ned. I wish you the best, man. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Bill. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Today's episode was brought to you by Bola VPN, bringing you internet freedom through security. Check out the website in the description below.
Thanks again for tuning in. Remember, I provide this information because I'm enthusiastic about this stuff. None of it should be taken as advice. Please do your due diligence when researching potential investments or security tools. See you all next time.